Hello and welcome to Bastion and Broadcasting, where tonight we are testing the solo gameplay of a game called GRIMLITE. Or at least Project GRIMLITE, as I should call it, because I think, the name GRIMLITE obviously started as a joke. It's not the grim darkness. It's lighter than that in terms of light mechanics. So yeah, we're still calling it GRIMLITE, but I am sort of sowing the seed now for the idea that this is just the name. Everybody went mad when Nintendo changed Project Revolution into Wii, and I was there. I was angry with the rest of them, but yeah, it sometimes it has to happen. So GRIMLITE will be getting a new name at some point, but for now, this is GRIMLITE. And what we're testing today is our solo rules. As always, I'm using Tabletop Simulator. I'm using various miniatures that I grabbed from the workshop on Tabletop Simulator from various different sources. The thing that I wanted to do with GRIMLITE, which, I'm not going to shy away from the fact that there's a lot of Frostgrave DNA in GRIMLITE. And every time I do a bit of design on it, I always think, am I doing something different enough here to Frostgrave that I shouldn't just be playing Frostgrave instead? But I'm confident there is definitely enough difference in here, but there's definitely a lot of similarities as well. So one of the things that I know Joe McCulloch talks about is how the game exists as an excuse to buy those miniatures that you always wanted to buy, and also as an excuse to use the miniatures that you already had. So I like that sometimes they're a bit of a mishmash of things. We've got some from the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth strategy battle game, as they insist on calling it. Some things from Warcry, some from 40k. One here that I don't know what it's from. But this is our warband, and we're going to be doing a solo game tonight. And I know that I've done some solo games before, in the sense that I've had two warbands that I've been controlling both of them. But today we're actually testing out the proper solo rules. Now, the game is designed so that you don't have to change that much when you're running it solo. It's mainly in the scenario design that things need to change. So what we're going to be doing, I've just noticed you shouldn't be there. There we go. The main difference to how it works compared to competitive is going to be in the scenario. And my goal is for most of the scenarios in the game. So let's bring up the latest version of the game. If you've been following along, we're now on version 0.502. And at the rate that we're going through these versions, if you're watching this on YouTube next week, we're probably on version 3.98, because I'm blazing through the versions because I'm making lots of changes, testing things. I do roll out some of the changes being untested because I like to get them out there and try them. So it's all very volatile at the minute. The game changes a lot, but the core of it is pretty much set now. But the scenarios, so if I go right to the back, there's 3 pages of scenarios. I've tried to make it so that each of these scenarios has the potential to be both competitive, solo, or co-op. It doesn't work for all of them. There's 1 or 2 examples that just don't work that either have to be co-op or have to be competitive. But for the most part, I wanted the vast majority of them to be adaptable. And I haven't got all the way with that yet, but that's going to be the plan. So that it's not like you're playing a weird alternate version of GRIMLITE. If you're playing it solo, you're just playing GRIMLITE, but you're playing a solo scenario. So we've got this lovely scene, a nice change from the sort of Necromunda style terrain that we've been using. We're going out into the wilderness. I've been thinking a lot about the tone of GRIMLITE. The world that's currently called Husk 28. There's not really any sort of fluff in here outside of this on the front. Husk 28 is a forgotten world. The company brought peace, then left. Only the doomed and the lost remain. So there's that, and then as with every game, there's like implied setting. Like the factions tell you something about the world. The units within that faction tell you something. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to think about it a bit and think, well, I want to give the world a bit more identity. I thought, how is this different than just like, you know, saying, well, this is 40k with the numbers filed off, or this is Mordheim with the numbers filed off. Because I wanted it to exist in that kind of in between. Like I wanted to be able to use fantasy and sci-fi miniatures alongside each other. But you know, even with 40k, you can kind of do that. Like you look at some 40k miniatures, and they look very fantasy. You look at some Age of Sigmar miniatures, and they kind of look a bit sci-fi. You know, the sky dwarves flying around in their airships. So one thing that I'd like to sort of lean into is this idea of, you know, the blend of medieval and sci-fi is hardly new, but I want to lean into like the small side of it. So in my document, I've got some notes that say things like chapels, not cathedrals. And obviously warbands, not armies is the obvious one. But also, this is it's a small world after all, is what I was about to say. It's a world of, it's a personal world. You're not just a faceless nobody. You know, people have names and people matter. And things, the big events that you're playing through might be very personal events between two characters. Or sort of the journey of one character. It's not about these legions of thousands of soldiers and these sort of galaxy-spanning events. I want to really make it feel a lot more intimate. Anyway, that's enough rambling on about what the game is going to be. This is what we're playing tonight. We've got a warband here. There's a couple of big changes. I'm not going to go through everything because, like I say, these changes are probably going to change again at some point. But the main changes to the system from the last time I played it are a change to the way that injuries work. We'll get to that. And also you start with bigger warbands. Or rather, you get more points, and your warband is now more likely to be, so what we've got here, we've got 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is a reasonably balanced warband. So your warband could be like, if you wanted to go proper horde, it could be like 9 members. You could still go really tight and have like an elite like 4 if you wanted to have like everybody be like a powerhouse. Or even you could possibly do 3 members. You might struggle. It might be 4 is a good number to if you want to have like a real solid elite team. But yeah, you're going to be talking more like 6, 7, 8. And the change to injuries, the reason that's there is I wanted to soften it slightly so that it's much more common for you to knock someone down rather than kill them. It's now kind of unlikely that you're going to one-shot somebody from standing still to dead. The standard is you're going to knock them down and then you can go and finish them off. So we'll get to that. So let's look at our warband. We don't have any names, so I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names from the chat, please. If you want me to just use your name, that is fine with me, but there's no way I'm going to come up with 7 names here. So I'm going to give the chat a second to catch up on that while I sip my coffee. And I'm going to tell you who we've got. Glottalherd, there we go. Glottalherd is our marshal. This is from the Sky Full of Dust. So our leader, Glottalherd. There we go. And I think, some of these Warcry miniatures, they're a little bit fuzzy in terms of the scan. So Glottalherd here, I've spelt it wrong. So I'm going to stick with the typo and go with Glottenherd instead. Glottenherd here is our marshal, and they are very lightly armed. They've just got a lash. And they have a tactic that means they can advance, so they can get everybody to move forward. So they're going to be kind of leading from the front, running in. They're not like a combat powerhouse, but they like to be out in the front themselves. Wheatfield, thank you to Walter. Wheatfield is our champion. I'm going to stand by the rule that if I type it wrong, we have to make that the official name. Wheatfield, I managed that one. They are our champion. So they've got a relic blade, which is pretty handy, and a shield. There's an error here because there's a rule that I need to change. The shield, you can only use your shield when you're standing. Now, I know they don't have a shield, but I'm thinking this big sort of falchion, I guess, blade thing, it's going to double as a shield because they can literally parry bullets out of the air with it. They have a feint tactic, which is quite risky, but it means they can basically get the enemy to attack them first, and if they miss, or if they don't wound them, then we get to fight back a lot harder than normal. Scarfler just says, Jeff, come on. Jeff. Fine. Jeff is our paragon. So he's tough. He's resilient. He's going to get in. He's got a thunder gun. And he has guardian. So if he attacks an enemy that is touching one of our units, he'll get a nice little bonus. So believe it or not, I've actually kind of planned. Normally I just pick these warbands based on what I want to put in there, but I've kind of built it with a little bit more strategy here. Remain, and I feel like you're saying Falx because it's more of a Falx than a Falchion, but I'm going to just call this Zealot Falx just to make things really confusing, despite the fact that they're clearly armed with a chainsaw. So this is our Zealot. So far we've got our leader is rolling 3+ on everything. Our two, we've got 2 4+ guys that are going to be our kind of mainstay, reliable, and we're into the grunts now. So this Zealot, he's still pretty good with his chainsaw, but that's kind of it. Our Herald, Scarface McCall. Come on. I'm not seeing a Scarface. I'm seeing like, I'm going to go with McCall because it's kind of weird for this weird, like, alien-looking Herald. So the Herald doesn't have any weapons of their own. They're just here to inspire other people. So they can still get around. They can still contribute. They can still grab glory tokens, which are the whole point of the game, and they can still attack. But it just means they're rolling like 1 die for attack. So they're, never know, it might come in useful, but they're basically there to. They can inspire everybody they can see to get up if they're down. So they're there to help us out of a tight spot. And then we've got 2 troopers. Again, I know that I'm slightly behind on these names. There's like a slight delay. But I've had Hierophant. We're going to call these 2 Hyro. Hyro is our trooper, and Fanta is our other trooper. So Hyro and Fanta, they're just a trooper with a gun. Well, in this case, a crossbow and a bow, but they have this phalanx ability, so that lets them make an attack, and then an ally that they're touching can either move or recover. So there's more reasons to stick together now in the way that some of the tactics work. If there's been a few changes, because I like the idea of like being encouraged to stay together, whereas before there wasn't really much of a reason to stay that close to each other. So now you've got a decision between how you sort of split up your units. It's a bit more interesting. So that's our warband. What's our mission? We're playing a mission called, it's one of the basic missions, so it's right at the front. It's not right at the front. Here we go. Trailblaze, which I haven't yet tested out. So this is the maiden voyage of Trailblaze scenario. So the way this works, I'm not going to go through the whole thing and read the whole text. These yellow tokens are glory tokens. At the end of a round, which is everybody's had their turn, and then it's the end of the round. At the end of the round, if we're touching one of these, and we're still standing, and we haven't got any standing enemies touching us, then we can claim that. So Trailblaze, the narrative is we're trying to blaze a trail through here to establish like a safe route through this patch of forest, which will hopefully lead into another scenario for another day, which is the relic scenario, because we're on the trail of a powerful relic. Now, this map, as you'll notice, it's a bit different to what we've had before. That's because I'm also testing out a little something about sort of area terrain. So if you've not seen GRIMLITE before, I'm not going to go over the rules, but one of the things is there's free movement, as in there's no measuring. You move in a straight line. So if you were here, you could move, hang on, you could move to, well, up to here really, until you stop, until you hit something. For those purposes, any kind of rough terrain, so I'm talking about these rocks, this water, further down you'll get into like these kind of hedgerows. Anything that you would call like area terrain, it's one move to get from the edge to the other edge. So to get across the river, if we weren't using the bridge, crossing over these rocks would be one move. Crossing over the water would be a second move. And then getting up over the rocks would be another move. But you've got like a little, there's like a little ford here. So here it would just be, you can move up to here and then a move across there and a move across there. So area terrain is something I'm working on some guidelines for in the book. So I'm kind of testing that out as we go. So I think we can get going. So deployment has changed now. You don't actually start on the board as standard. You start just off the board. And when you activate a model for the first time, you basically put them somewhere on the edge of the board, and then they start their turn from there. So it's like you're arriving on the board. So I could start over here, start anywhere I want. Oh, I didn't mention there's some horrors trying to stop us. We'll get to them, but there are 4 of these remnants, which are kind of like quite nasty. They're quite tough. They're quite hard to kill, but they're not massively dangerous on their own. But they're going to be quite resilient and hard to finish off. The Rot Knight, meanwhile, is going to be quite slow, but very difficult to damage, and they've got quite a nasty attack as well. So that's our greater horror, and these are our lesser horrors. So there should be 4 of the remnants. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just 1 of the greater horror, the Rot Knight. So without any further delaying, let's do this. But I'll just answer this one question. So Romain asked me, I guess you have to start from a predetermined side. Yeah, it depends on the scenario. So some scenarios, usually if you're playing 2 players, it'll be you're deploying from opposite sides. But you know, some scenarios might have 1 warman deploying in the middle, and then 1 coming on from sides. There's all different options. I wanted to make part of the reason I wanted to make the core of the game so simple was so that you could have weird scenarios. But the problem is, the ones that I'm testing tend to be the more basic ones, because that kind of gives you the best indicator of how the core of the game is operating. Right, so I'm thinking, we've got a shot lined up here. So this is the other thing, we're playing on quite an open map. So what's that distance there? So, you know, you could be making like a 40-inch shot, but this is more like the deployment area, so we're not going to hang around here very much. So let's move our trooper. So we'll start with Hyro. Hyro is going to deploy here. And then for the first move, we're going to get up into these bushes, I think. So the first move is always automatic. You don't need to roll anything. He's done himself in a bit there. I'm going to say that that's cover. So for his second action, he's going to shoot at this remnant. So he's 5+. So he's going to roll a die. He would normally need to get 5+, but because there's cover, that's the one modifier for shooting, is if there's cover in your way, it's -1. So he needs to get a 6. So it's a bit of a pot shot right now. He doesn't do it. And then, is he going to do another action? I think he might try to move up to here, but he needs to roll a 5 or 6 now, because any moves after your first move, that's not a roll. He doesn't make it. Any move after your first move, you have to roll to see if you make it, basically, and he doesn't. It's kind of like a slight little bit of command and control, I guess. So because he's a low quality unit, he he's not as good at getting around the battlefield as anyone else. You know, it does represent speed, but it also does represent their kind of discipline as well. Now, the other change is, and this is a change to competitive and co-op and solo. After you activate a unit, either player activates a unit, they have to activate a horror. This is a change to how it works before. I've gone round and round and round on trying to get horrors to work well, but this system seems better. Now, when you activate a horror, they kind of operate on an AI, so it's not like I'm going to be moving them around, but it does mean that I can sort of choose the order in which they activate. So I will choose this one first, just so I can get an idea of where he's going to be. So we're not really in any danger at the minute, so it doesn't matter too much. So we're activating the Rot Knight. So I'll very quickly remind you of the horror AI. So you can see this little in on the far right of this page at the bottom of that second column. They act in an order of preference. So if they can, they'll attack someone with a weapon. If they can't do that, they'll move towards the nearest target. If there's no target visible, they move in a random direction. And then their last ditch thing is they will make an unarmed attack, which is kind of like a niche thing because most horrors are going to have a weapon. So all of these just have melee weapons. So he can't attack anyone. I'm pretty sure he can't see anyone. So he's going to move randomly. However, he has lumbering as one of his special abilities. So he has to roll to move even on his first move. So it's a 3+ to be able to move. He makes it. And he moves, that direction. So I'm thinking he's basically going to come and stand next to this guy. Then he's going to roll for the second move. He's not going to make it. And for his third move, he makes it. So they get 3 actions, just like an ordinary character. What's he going that way for? So there's always a sense. It's a narrative game. So you have to go into this in the frame of mind that you're going to have to make some decisions about what makes sense narratively. In role-playing games, you would call it play to find out what happens, rather than play to win the game. Both valid approaches, but I want this game to be a play to find out what happens game, because there aren't as many war games that do that. So I think that suggests to me he's going up to this this glory token up here to guard the road. Okay, so he is exhausted. That's what these little blue tokens mean. Just means that we know he's had his turn. And let's clear up the space a bit. Cool. Next unit. So he's quite far away, that Rot Knight, but we've kind of got like a line of sight to him. I think we're going to continue the plan of sending in the grunts. So where's Fanta? Come on. So Fanta, we're going to start you. We want to get Fanta over there to maybe take a pop at the big guy. So he's going to sprint up here. So ordinarily I would advise having like more terrain, but because I want this to be like the entrance point, you can see it gets a lot more dense up here. So we're not going to get quite as much of the big sweeping movements up here. So he's going to move to here. Now, does he want to shoot at that guy? I think this unit here is a bit more of a threat. So we're going to shoot at this unit. My guidance is the 2 types of dispute that are most likely to come up in the game are movement disputes and shooting disputes. Like, is there line of sight? And my advice is to be generous with movement, but be strict with line of sight. That's not massively helpful, but that's kind of how I've found it works best. So if in doubt, I'm going to give that remnant the cover, say, because I would assume that if you imagine the fiction of it, they're not just standing there, they're kind of skulking around. So they've got a bit of grass to sort of hide behind, and the chaos of battle would suggest that this little bit of cover is going to be affecting things. So he needs a 6 to hit. He does not make it. And he can make another move, but we don't really want to be going into the river. Now, it might seem counterintuitive, but I'm actually going to activate this horror because he can't really get to me. So I'm activating this remnant here, and he's going to be heading towards Fanta in the straightest way possible. So thinking about what's going to take the fewest moves, it's going to be 1 move to get to there, 2 moves to jump over there, and then 3 moves to get to like here. Alternatively, it could be 1, 2, 3. So you can't get to Fanta, but he can get into a position where he can charge the next turn. So he's going to move 1 down to the river for free. Then he's going to make his second attempt at a move, and he needs a 5+. He does not make it. He'll make his third attempt to move with a 5+. He makes it, so he gets over the river. And again, I'm sort of banking on this being like 3D terrain, even though it's not. So we're imagining they're probably in a little bit of cover there. We're being generous when it comes to cover, but we're also going to be generous about the movement options there. Right, back to the inheritors. So we've sent out the grunts. I think it's time for Jeff to get out there. Yeah, Jeff's tough, you know, he can take it. So I'm going to put Jeff here. And Jeff's going to make an absolute bolt for it. Again, I'm going to be generous and say we can get to here. So Jeff is going to get on the bridge. And then before he tries to move again, he's going to take a pop at the Rot Knight over here. So the Rot Knight has 3+. So Jeff is going to be shooting at the Rot Knight. I think he's pretty exposed here, so there's no case for him being in cover. Jeff's going to need a 4+ to hit. He hits, and his weapon is going to do 3 damage. Now, here's where things have changed. So 3 damage to the Rot Knight. He's going to be making saves for each point of damage, so he needs to roll a 3+ to save against each point of damage. However, the actual end result now, all that matters is, has he failed any saves? Because he has to pass all of them to avoid being wounded. If he fails any of the saves, he's wounded. It doesn't matter if he fails 1 or all 3. So let's roll. 3, 4, 6. He passes them all. So we'll see how being wounded works. But if he'd failed just 1 of these, if that was a 2, he would have failed that and he would have been wounded. And generally that means that you're going to get taken down, but there is going to be an additional effect as well. Now, does Jeff want to move? He could like try and dart behind there for cover. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. So he needs a 4+. They would be getting +1 to their move if they could see their leader, but our leader isn't even on the battlefield yet. No, so Jeff stays where he is, and he's exhausted. Now, who do I activate? I feel like I want to activate the ones that are closest to me just so we know what's going on with them, because it's the unknown that can be difficult. So, this remnant here, can he see anybody? And again, we're assuming that they are facing this way. I think he can definitely see Fanta. So he's going to make a move. And remember, we said we were going to be generous to... we're going to be strict on shooting, but we're going to be generous with movement. Is there a case for saying he can squeeze through there? Well, he will, but what happens is when you move... Yeah, he will go to there. Then for his second action, Fanta is no longer the closest target. It's Jeff. So he's going to try and move towards Jeff, but he needs to roll a 5+. He's going to make it, so he's going to move up to here. And then he's going to try to vault over there So 5+ for his last action, he doesn't make it. So we're drawing them in. They're not hanging around. But we've got to keep pushing forward, you see. So it doesn't hurt to bring a few of them forwards. Right, we've got 4 units left. I feel like we do want to get our leader on the battlefield just so we can start getting that bonus to movement. But the reason we're holding him back is if we bring him on right at the end, he can use his advance tactic to get everybody to make a move. So I think we do want to hold him back to the end. Let's get Falx in there. So Falx is going to try and get up to help Jeff out. So we said this was 1 move. Yeah, and you can, the implication is you can move through your own unit. So I guess it's 1 move to get to there. And I would say with the second move, he could vault over and get to this remnant. But he's going to need a 5+, so it's going to be a tough call. No. But he will try again. So he needs a 5+. He doesn't, so he's stuck on here for now. So we've got all these remnants have acted. So we're going to have to delve into the forest now to find the others. So we've got 1 right back here and 1 hidden away in the woods. This one is a little bit scary to me because they're a little bit hidden. So I'd quite like them to be out somewhere. So can they see anyone? And again, I'm being strict on vision. So I know that Jeff is there, but I'm assuming that this forest area terrain here is a bit thicker than you might think. So we're going to say that he doesn't see anyone. With all these sort of standards of like how strict you are on movement and how strict you are on line of fire, the main thing is that you're consistent about it. And when you're doing it solo, it's easy because you just make that call yourself. But when you're playing with 2, it's really important to like reach an equilibrium on it. It's really important, but it's not necessarily easy. I played this with my partner and we were by no means having an argument about it, but we had differing ideas and we were playing it in a very casual way, but we were still like no, I think that's line of sight. No, I don't think it is. So I can see how people who are more invested would get more angry. So he's going to move randomly. Oh, lucky for us, he's just going to move over to this bit of woods here. He's going to try and make a second move because he still can't see anyone. Oh, he makes it. And his move is into the woods, I guess. And then will he make a third move? He will. He really wants to leave the board. But I don't think we're going to do that because what will happen in reality is I will forget that he's there. So he is loitering in these woods over here now. Yeah, Sky Full of Dust says, sounds like when I play games with my son and he just goes ahead making up his own rules. Yeah, it's easy to think that kids are all like, they just want to play for fun and they've got a very pure play experience. But no, they're ruthless, absolute monsters. So it's back to the Inheritors. We're going to stick with the plan. Let's get this guy on. Let's get Wheatfield in there. So we're going to... Wheatfield's going to sort of make a move for this remnant here. So if we deploy here, it's a big ass move, but we did say it would be generous, and this is like the open deployment area, so we're moving to there. And then we're going to try and make a second move, which is going to need a 4+. We're going to fail. We're going to do it again. There we go. So we can at least get into contact with this guy. So that next turn, we can hopefully chop him down to size. So the thing about solo play is you don't get so many surprises because If this was a competitive game, then I might be a bit worried about leaving my character here, because on your next, you might get first turn on the next round, and you might activate this horror, and it might shred me up. But because we can choose the order of the horrors, we've got a little bit more certainty. There is a wild card in there, which I will get to at the end of the round. So there are still some surprises to come. Okay, so there's only one horror left. It's this guy. So let's get our gear. Let's see what we can do. So he's going to move randomly. He surely can't see anyone. Oh, no, you can see his mate, but you can't see any of us. So random movement into the woods. So he's already on the edge. So we did say it would be to the other edge. So he's in that campsite now. Does that give him any line of sight to anyone? Nope. I'd stay away from the fire, mate. You look like you're made out of wood. Oh, no, I shouldn't have rolled that. 5+ to make another move. He won't do it. 5+ for this third action. He doesn't do it. So he stays warming his branches by the fire very dangerously. And I should mark him as exhausted. In fact, I forgot to mark... Oh, God, where's this other one? We can't have him over here. I'm going to make the executive decision that he's actually going to stay just out of these woods, because I will never remember that he's there. And he might as well be dead if he's in there. So this one is exhausted over by the campfire. So we don't need to do any more horrors. They've all gone. So we can move these two in whatever order we like. So let's get our herald up there. So nobody's down. So our herald hasn't really got much of a job to do yet, but we're just going to get into a position where we can like keep an eye on everyone. So we're going to go there. And you know what? We are going to try to move up next to Jeff. 6. So we are stood next to Jeff. Come on, Jeff, make a bit of room. And you know what? We're gonna stay there because no, you know what? Let's yeah. It's a toughie. We're gonna stay there. We're gonna stay there because I've got plans, wheels within wheels. So exhausted. I still hate these exhaustion tokens. So I did try today. I did a really quick play test of an idea that I had, and I knew it was a bad idea because it just didn't sound right anyway. But I thought if I can get this to work, we will eliminate the need for exhaustion tokens and we can have a clear battlefield. And I thought about trying something where you could kind of, you just had 3 actions each turn and you could spread them between your units any way you wanted. So you could just keep using the same unit. I know that Infinity does something kind of similar. It's a bit different because it's based on how many units you've got. But I tried it and it just didn't quite work. It meant you became very focused on parts of the battlefield a little bit too much, and the rest of it kind of sat doing nothing. And you never know, I might revisit the idea, but it didn't work. So for now, we are stuck with tokens, I'm afraid. Okay, and lastly, our leader. So our leader is going to get up in the action. So they're going to move to here. Because what I want really is, I want for everyone to be able to see me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Can Falk see us? I'm not sure. Basically, we're going to use our advance tactic. So advance, it's tactic, so we have to spend an action to do it. But then when we've done it, it means we can have any allies that we can see make a free move. And because it's technically a new turn, because it's not their turn, none of these moves will need to be rolled. They can do it for free because it's their first move this turn. It's really important to get that distinction between turns and rounds. So your turn is just one unit doing their 3 actions. And sometimes that might involve getting other units to move with tactics, but it's a new turn. And a round is the entire sequence of every unit acting. So all of our units get a free move. So let's start from the back. High row. move to here. I think that's about right there. Fanta, do we want Fanta to get in the river? I think we want Fanta to get like over here. This looks like this is actually kind of a better crossing than the bridge, really. We want Wheatfield to stay exactly where they are. We want Fawkes to get over there. And we want Jeff and McCall to get up here as well. So they're going to be right next to this barricade and in position to hop over next turn. So that is a really powerful tactic, especially when you've got this kind of open field. It's probably too powerful in this one, to be honest, but normally it's hard to get all of your units in your line of sight, but here that's a very powerful tactic to use. And then for their third action, I feel like we want to get them like in the thick of it as well, so we're going to move over here. Okay, so we would normally put a token on them. Oh, I didn't roll, did I? 3+ to make that move. They did it. So we would normally put a token on them, but we already know that they are exhausted. We're going to collect up all of the other ones, which is a pain in the arse. But tokens, I tell you, like if I could just get rid of these. I know that the alternative method is you sort of put the tokens on everyone to begin with, or you could be like checking them off on the side of the battlefield so that you're like tracking who's acted over there rather than on the battlefield itself. But anything like that I try, I find it's just still taking attention off the battlefield, and it is quite useful, especially in competitive. It's really quite useful to know which of the enemy units have gone and to be able to see that like at a glance. So I think it's just doubly fiddly when you're doing it in TTS. When you're at the table, to pick up a few little blue cubes I use, it's really not that bad. So that was our first round. If we were touching one of these glory tokens, like I say, now would be the time for us to claim it, but we're not yet. He was in contact, was he? I think he was. Now, however, I said there was a wild card, and most scenarios, not all of them yet because I haven't finished writing them, but all scenarios should have end of round events. And this scenario doesn't yet have one. It could be sort of more based on the battlefield than the scenario, but for this one I've just thrown together a very basic one just to give a little bit of randomness to things. So simple as that. I'm going to create a giant die for this because it's more dramatic. You roll a d6 at the end of the round. Event number 3. Ooh, so this is where we get the uncertainty. All horrors make free attack. That is not what we wanted to hear. So the only ones that are going to be affected are these two because no one else can make any attacks. But these two are going to make attacks against us. So this is kind of there to simulate the kind of the randomness of the other player. I would still recommend including them when you're playing with 2 players because it's just more chaos and it just makes more drama. But you really need it in the solo game because otherwise it just becomes a bit too it's a bit too much of just a puzzle that you're solving rather than a kind of chaotic dramatic situation. So this remnant, they're quality 5+ and they've got 2 attacks for 1 damage each, so they need a 5+ to hit. Nothing. Good. This one is attacking Fawkes. They'll need a 5+ to hit. Oh, 1 hit. So Fawkes is trying to save on a 5+. What a legend. He makes it. So we're fine. That was a good result. And because that was a free attack, it doesn't affect being exhausted or anything like that. So we can kind of now, we've almost got everybody over the river. We're moving up the battlefield. So let's move our dice and tokens and stuff up here as well. Sky Full of Dust asks, index card for each mini? Yeah, so like tapping a card. So that again, you could have, having it off the board might end up being a better solution long term. But when you're in a very tight situation, it is very useful to be able to just glance and see that this horror has already acted. Or so yeah, I'm complaining about something, but then I'm also saying, oh, but I really want to keep it. So I'm aware how annoying I'm being, and I'm being a massive hypocrite. But it's just like a weird little thing. So now everybody's on the battlefield. We don't need to worry about who's off. We still have control over the order of the horrors, so we've got a little bit of time, but we do want to really get these attacks done early on, I would say. Now, Jeff here. We know that Jeff has this ability where if they attack a target that's touching an ally, he attacks it. He just needs a 2+ to hit, basically. Which is really good when you give this character a melee weapon, because they can just go in and like flank the enemy. But here it means they're basically encouraged to shoot into melee. And shooting into melee is risky because if you roll a 1, it hits your ally instead. But I think in this case, it's kind of a risk worth taking. So Jeff, I'm going to say this is so close, there's no way that cover is protecting him. So he's rolling at 2+ because he's using his Guardian tactic. Just don't get a 1, Jeff. Come on. Great. 2. So the Remnant is hit for 3 points of damage. And they have got 5+. And their Tough doesn't help them here. Tough is used to reroll against damage in melee and when you're trying to get back up. So for tough opponents, you're better off shooting them as well, rather than trying to fight them. So 5+, there's no way he's going to... Oof. He makes 1, but 2 fails means that he is wounded. So finally, we can try out the new wound system. So previously what happened is that when you took 1 damage, 1 wound, you were down, 2 wounds, you were dead. Now it's slightly different in that there's a speed bump there now to slow that process. So when you get wounded, it doesn't matter if you've taken 1 wound, 2 wounds, 3 wounds, 5 wounds. All that matters is if you're already down, then you're dead, which is basically the same as how it worked before. But if you're standing, what happens is you roll 2d6 on this shock table, which is an expanded version of the shock table that was in there previously. And this is like your special effect. If you roll doubles on this, then you are killed. If you roll anything else, you look at the result and you're just taken down. So let's roll for shock. 4 and 5, so they're not killed. They get 9, which means crawl, so they get to make a free move. So some of the results are the same as before. There's a lot of familiar stuff there. It's just kind of, there's a speed bump is the best way to describe it. So it's much less likely for you to go straight from sort of standing to just being wiped out by rolling a couple of 1s. So he's making a free move before he goes down. I'm going to take that to mean he's not breaking away from combat. So he flips over. So he's down. Is there a way for me to... I get so annoyed at these ones that are like... these ones that won't like tip over. If anybody who's used Tabletop Simulator 4 knows about a way to sort of, for me to tilt this guy 90 degrees rather than flip him all the way in his head, I would love that. You know what, I'm going to have a quick look. No, I don't know. Someone tell me. If there's a way to make it so that he's lying on his side rather than upside down, that'd be great. So, he's down. Jeff's got 2 moves left. He's going to... Sorry, 2 actions left. He's going to use 1 action to move to here. And rather than try and get to this, he's going to actually do a melee attack now. So he's going to move in and fight. So he needs a 4+ to hit. Oh, no. He needs a 4+ to hit, but when you're attacking a target that's down in melee, you get +1. So he needs a 3+ to hit. He doesn't do it. So he wasted that last action a little bit, but this is why the way that this new system works, you need to get those multiple attacks in. You need to get in and finish someone off. You can't just rely on wasting somebody and you're done. You've got to kind of line up crossfires, or it makes melee all the more appealing, because in melee you can use 2 melee actions per turn instead of just 1 with shooting. So it makes things a little bit more. You have to plan a little bit more. Now, this is the guy that's worrying me. We don't want to activate him probably till the very end. Let's activate this one that is harmlessly exploring the campsite. So they can't see us. Where are they going? That sort of way, I guess. So to the edge of this bit of forest. And then they need a 5+ to be able to move any further. They make it. Back in. This does happen, and I used to kind of think, oh, this is really annoying, how can I stop this happening? But really, it's just kind of meant to represent that sometimes the horrors are just unaware of you. So it looks like they're just kind of wandering around aimlessly, but they just aren't aware of you. So they're basically not involved in the fight yet. So that's one horror. Next, we're going to try and get that one, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. So Wheatfield, our champion. You know what? I wonder if they might actually use their feint ability. It's a bit risky, but it's kind of made for these units. It's made to be used against like weaker units, so let's do it. So, an enemy you touch makes a free attack against you. It feels very risky. So they're rolling a 5+. They miss with both attacks. So if they do not wound you, which they haven't, we fight them at 2+. So we've got a relic blade, which is 3 attacks for 1 damage each. But since the feint was successful, we get to roll on 2+. We didn't even need it. 3 hits. They're rolling 5+ to save, but they get a reroll because they're tough, so they can reroll this. So they all fail, and 2 fail, so they are wounded. So let's do our 2d6 roll for shock. Try and get doubles. Doubles. So they are dead, but also, it's fine. So vengeance. 1 ally gets a free attack against your attacker. So if there was another on these remnants touching Wheatfield, they'd get a free attack now. But, or if this guy had a gun, he would be able to shoot, but they don't. So he's actually fine. And this remnant is dead. Chopped down by the big blade. So that's 1 action. With their second action, they're going to move to cross the river. And then for their third action, they're going to try and get to the glory token. I don't know. Is it risky? No, we're gonna play the strategic game here. For the next action, they're going to run. Well, sorry, they're going to try and run to like here behind these rocks. So we're going to need a 4+ to do that. Beautiful. Just so that we can see this, because not that. This here, that glory token, because that's one of our other goals. So he's exhausted. Now I feel like I need to sort of accept that this guy is probably going to come for us. We could take some pot shots at them and maybe see if we could down them. That would be really useful. You know what? I'm actually going to use our. Hang on. Well, you know, let's see if we can finish off this remnant, because yeah, we want to get rid of this one that's already down, because they're going to be coming back if we're not careful. So Falx, you are going to attack this remnant here. So they've got a relic blade, which is 3 attacks, 1 damage each. He's just 5+, but he's fierce, which means he can re-roll attacks in melee. So he's 4+, sorry, because he's getting +1 because the target's down. So that's 2 hit, and will that one also hit, please? Thank you. 3 damage. They need to roll 5+ to save all of them. They can re-roll because they are tough, and that's not going to be enough. So in this case, they're wounded, but because they're already down, we don't need to roll for shock. They are just dead. We finished them off. So we're making short work of them. So that was 1 action. The hydration situation is not under control tonight. I've been lax in my duties. So I will pour this very loud drink. And while I strategize. So yes, we have, that was our first action. For our second one, we could get on this, but my concern is that this guy is going to come for us pretty much straight away, but he's already going to come. So we're going to move there. Okay, there please, yeah. We're going to move there with our second action, and we're just going to... Physics are so weird on this. So we're just going to stay there on the glory token. Let's make that a bit bigger, just so that we can potentially get someone else to touch it. So he's done. Right, now we've got this guy. Just trying to keep track of all our enemies. So we have this guy here, and then we have the one, these two are just kind of off in the woods. He's already acted. So it's going to be this guy, the one that I was worried about forgetting. So it's first move. Ooh, okay, interesting. Down to here, so he's going to move to the edge of the area terrain, which I guess is like here. And now, I think that's fair to say, he has a line of sight to Falx, so he's going to try and move over there. So he needs a 5+. He does not make it. He needs another one. He does make it. So he's kind of in this weird, again, we're calling this kind of edge of the river area terrain. So he's not going to be able to charge straight to there. That's ridiculous. So he's just going to get to like the edge here. So he's lining up his charge. Okay, and he's exhausted. So on our next turn, we're going to have to definitely activate the Rot Knight, which is a bit scary. But he is slow, he's lumbering, so he might not move at all, but it would be great if we could take him down. So let's use our Marshal. No, that's ridiculous. Let's use our only real chance is to take a shot at him. So we're going to move to here. Now we did say that we were thinking this was kind of 3D terrain. I'm going to say that it's like a cover, so he needs to get a 6 to hit basically. So it's a long shot. Oh, normally when I say that, it just works. So he misses, and he's going to try and make a second move to get to the other side of the river. He's going to need, he can see his leader, so he gets +1. So he's just going to need a 4+ to make that next move. There we go. Now we've been neglecting with this guy his phalanx ability. We should have been keeping him like next to another unit, but it's more relevant when we start getting units taken down. It becomes a bit more important. So he's exhausted, and now it's the Rot Knight. I feel like we should make this guy more imposing. So his nearest unit. So what we could have done actually, which would have been quite interesting, is if Fanta could have like ran in front, he could have held him up long enough for us to secure this token. But no. So he's going to move. Well, he's going to try and move to engage Falx, but because he is lumbering, he's going to need to roll to move even on his first roll. So he needs a 3+ though. So yeah, of course he makes it. So bad time for Falx. The Rot Knight, what have you got? They have got a Rotten Blade, so it's 2 attacks for 2 damage, and if they roll a 6, the target is exhausted. So he's already exhausted, so it's not that bad at least, but that's getting exhausted when you haven't acted is like horrible, because you're just skipping a turn basically. So that would have exhausted him. but it's 3+, so luckily he's only hit with 1. So each of those hits is going to cause 2 damage. So it's 2 damage to Falx. He needs to roll 5+ to save. He saved 1, but that's not good enough, is it? So let's roll the shock. 7. So I happen to know 7 is the only one I've memorized. 7 just means you're taken down with no further effect. So that's alright. Oh, that's alright for now. But you can make a second melee attack. So with his third action, he's going to attack again. This time he's getting +1, so he's hitting on 2s. It's a bad time for Falx. So that's going to be 4 damage. So he needs to roll 5+ on all of these. Oh, look. If only he had a way to re-roll, but he doesn't. So, Falx, you've done good work, but you are dead. You can join these guys in the dead pile. So, there we go. And he is now touching this glory token. So, I felt like we had the whole situation under control, and it's suddenly gone out of control very quickly. Who do we have left? We have our trooper, and we have Glutton Herd. Trooper, you could get a shot off here. So, let's move here. You know, I kind of want to move him like here so that we can start to get up here afterwards. But that's a clear shot, I would say, because you know these are on the same level. I know I said this was 3D terrain, but I was thinking more for when you're going down into the river. So, come on, 5+. Yes. 2 damage. These remnants are rolling 5+ to save. Doesn't make it. Roll for shock. 5. So he's not dead, but he is... Panic. Attack the nearest target, friend or foe. Well, he can't, because if he was in melee, he would. But no, he's just going down. So that's good. Oh, hang on. What did I forget here? Their ability. This is why I've really tried to avoid abilities that trigger on like other players' turns. I like abilities that you use yourself. But on the horrors, I allow a few little passive abilities. But here there's one. This unit is not killed by doubles on a shock roll. Didn't this happen to one of these? So I think one of these shouldn't be dead. So what we'll do is we will bring one of these back at the end of the round because they shouldn't have been killed. I mean, we had our champion right there. He probably would have finished them off anyway. But I can't remember exactly what happened, but he shouldn't have been killed by doubles. So we will bring them back on at the end of the round. So our trooper here is shot, moved, and then we're going to try and get into contact with McCall here. So he needs a 5+. No. Oh, sorry, 4+, because we can see our leader. But either way, that's not good enough. And finally, our brave leader. Do we want to get people into contact here? No, I think we want to concentrate on getting our leader over here to actually get involved. So it's 1 move, 2 moves to get to a second move to get to the other side of the river. We need a 3+. No, we'll try again for our third action. 4+. So we just get to the other side of the river. And I believe that is the end of the round. Ah, no, it wasn't. I missed the herald, so we'll go and do the herald. But once I've started clearing up these tokens, there's no stopping me. There we go. So, where's our herald? So, we haven't had any units like go down yet. We've just had that one get obliterated. So, contrary to what I said before about the speed bump, it is still very possible to die in 1 turn. But we're going to get over here. So, move 1 to get to there. Stand up, please. And then for the second move, we're just going to get like out of trouble. Try and get to there. So we can we see our leader? If we're being strict, I'm going to say no, because our leader's like in this little divot. So we just need a 5+. That'll do. So we're just going to get like into here. So we're not quite in the danger zone as much. And that's the end of the round. So let's roll for an event. Oh no, how dare I think about using a standard die. We're using the big die for this. 5. Each leader makes a free attack. Unfortunately, our leader is in no position to attack anyone. So again, it's a double-edged sword. Getting someone into contact at the end of the game, end of the round, you might get that one. But we did say we're going to bring this one back. So we're going to bring them back. We're going to put them on the centre of this section. Because I think we were roughly around here, weren't we? Right. Round 3. We're in a bad spot here. This Rot Knight. Their Aura of Decay. The first 2 points of shooting damage caused each turn are ignored. So what that means is if we were to hit them with the Thunder Gun, for instance, it causes 3 points of damage, so it would be reduced to 2. But this only affects shooting. So this is why I think it's important that we get stuck in now with this guy. So we could just try and run away from him. And I do think it will be worth trying to secure some of these glory that are further down the board. But for now, I think we shouldn't direct any shooting at this guy. So let's go and, I am going to use Wheatfield, and he is going to do a very boring thing and go and stand here. So he is touching that one, and he's going to stay there. Now, which horror? We'll do this one. No, that's... Sorry. We'll use this horror here. I know it might seem counterintuitive, but hear me out. They are going to come and attack Jeff. But no, you know what? We're not. I keep forgetting we've got this one. So we're going to use this guy down here to give us buy us a little bit of time. So he can't see anyone still. Still? Yeah, he's like in this clearing on his own. So he's going to go over here. Will he move again? 5+? Nope. Will he move again? 5+? Yes. So he's going to come out of the woods at least. Okay, cool. So he's gone. Now we have an opportunity. I think when there's a unit that's down and you have an opportunity to finish the job, it's always worth going for it. Now ideally we would get like a melee unit in there because they get a +1 against down targets, but in reality that's not going to happen. So I think we actually might want to get Jeff over there, and we could send him a call to try and just, you know what, I think it might actually be the best option. If we're saying that that's, I know this is a bit of terrain here, so I'm being a bit cheeky, but I'm going to be a bit permissive and say McCall can make it over there in 1. Now, just because they don't have a weapon, they can still attack. They've got a knife or something, but they're just rolling 1 die. So they need a 5+ to hit, but it's 4+ because the target's down. No. For their third action, they will try another one. They need a 4+. Thank you. Now the Remnant is resisting on a 5+, and they can re-roll it because they're tough. Come on, come on, come on. Yes. So our Herald has wounded the Remnant, which means they're dead because they're already down. So that was... This is why, you know, these little units that you have that don't have any weapons, there's still a lot they can do. Aside from just like putting the boot in to targets that are already down, grabbing glory tokens, it's useful. So as much as I said, like, you can just have like an elite unit of 4, an elite warband of like 4 units, I think it's tough going. I think you want to have a bit of a balance. I think you want to have like your leader and like maybe 2 sort of champions, if you like, sort of 4+ units that do something really well, and then have just a bunch of grunts to to sort of do crowd control and finish off the job. So he's done. We could activate this guy instead. He would probably be looking at Fanta as the nearest target, I would say. So it would be one move to get to it. I think they can't do that in one move. It's going to have to be a move to here, and then they're going to try and make a second move here to get to Fanta. Nope, third move. No, so they have moved there, but they are not currently going to be able to get to Fanta. Now, we want to kill this thing. Our leader is good, but like not amazing. But if we get our leader in there, yeah, okay. Formulating a plan here. So let's get our leader in. So, Glutton Herd, it's time to show people how it's done. They're moving in. They have a lash, which is one attack for 2 damage, and it's just a straight 3+ to hit. They hit 2 damage. The Rot Knight's abilities, none of that affects melee, so they're just rolling a 3+ to save. Oh no, they are wounded. Now this is an example of where in the previous system this is a very unlucky roll for them. They would have just been wiped out in one. But now they've got this speed bump, so we're going to roll 2d6 for the shock. So we could have still got doubles and killed them in one, but they got an 8. So the 8 means fight back, which is not what we wanted to see. So they go down. There we go. But they are going to attack Glutton Herd on the way down. And it's a Rust Blade. 2 times 2. They need a 3+ to hit. Both hit. Come on. Our leader needs to roll 3+ on these. Look at that. I'm taking it. 3+ on all the saves. So Glutton Herd resists that attack. Now we have another attack because we've used we moved, we attacked, and now we've got another attack if we want it. So let's fight again. This time we're rolling on a 2+ because the target's down. I could feel that 1 coming. You know when you can sometimes feel it? So yeah, not great. Now, the problem we've done here is we've put ourselves in a bad situation. See if you can work out what I've done wrong here. I've kind of put myself in a bad situation because we didn't want to activate this unit because we didn't want them to attack us. But in doing so, we're now left with no choice. We've activated 1. How many have we got? There's 1 here. There's 1 over there. There's 2 dead. Yeah. So that's our 4 original units. We've got no choice but to activate this Rot Knight. And when you're down, the only thing you can do is try and get back up. And if they get a 3+, they will get up. So what we should have done, this is why it's really useful to know who's exhausted and who isn't, because we perhaps should have like drawn a bit of flak, like send in Jeff to tank it and like take the hit maybe, and then when it's exhausted, move in, and then if we knock it down, we know it's not going to get back up until the next round. Well, anyway, so live and learn. The Rot Knight stands up and it's going to use its next action to attack. That's okay. We've survived before. Look at that. Miss. What are we scared of? It's going to try again. 2 attacks for 3+. Okay, this time it's going to hit with both. And each one's causing 2 damage. And Glutton Herd is 3+ to save. Oh no, they're wounded. So we roll 2d6 for the shock. 9. Well, they're not dead at least. 9. Crawl. So I can make a free move. So to move out of combat, you do have to roll. I'm going to stay where... no, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to try and just move back because... Well, I fail, so I don't move. I was going to try and just disengage so that we're not stood next to it when the end of round event goes off. Oh, hang on, what am I doing? So, they're both now exhausted, and he is downed. So yeah, that didn't go exactly how I wanted it to go, but we've still got Jeff. Now, will Jeff fire into his own leader's combat? I think he's... I don't know. The problem is, this thing here is like very resistant to shooting, so we'd be risking, you know, scratching the Rot Knight, but if we miss and hit our leader, that's a really bad place to be. So instead, we're going to shoot at this... yeah, we're going to use our first action to shoot at this remnant over here, because he's not... Let's put our leader here, just so we know, because he's not in contact with this one. You know, let's be fair. Put them here so that we actually know roughly what's going on. That's fine. We can remember that they're in contact with the remnant, and the remnant. Sorry, not the remnant. The Rot Knight, and the Rot Knight is in contact with the objective. So let's use Jeff to shoot at this. No, let's. Right, we're gonna get a combo going. We're gonna do it. So we're gonna use Fanta here. Fanta is gonna shoot at this remnant. So they need to roll a 5+ to hit. Oh, they do hit. 5+ to save. It doesn't save. Here comes the damage roll. 9. So they are downed. Fanta then is gonna move in. Fanta might not need Jeff's help. Put the boot in with 1 melee attack, needing a 4+ to hit. No. But all the horrors are gone, so we don't have to worry about that. Now that Jeff can use his Guardian tactic to shoot at this remnant, and he's going to be rolling at 2+ because he's in contact with one of our units. That's his special ability. So 2+, 1. So obviously we hit our own unit. Should have known. Fanta's rolling 5+ to resist. No. This is not going well. This is why you shouldn't shoot at melee. It's a bad idea. Here's the shock roll. So Jeff, the Guardian, blows the head off Fanta in trying to defend them. Cool. Good job, Jeff. So he's going to move in. And he's going to put the boot into this remnant here. So 3+ to hit. No, Jeff, you are terrible. You're not delivering today, Jeff. Who else do we have? We have our Herald's already gone. It would be really useful to be able to use this Herald's ability. We have Hyro over here. So move, try and get over the thing, 5+, nope, try again, 5+, that's a 6, yep. So everyone's over the bridge now at least. Okay, end of the round, we have a glory token over here that we can claim, at least. So we've got 1 glory, we'll put that here. You know what? I should roll this first. I'm sure it won't affect that glory token. Are you ready? 1 greater horror enters from a random board edge. So this is why it's good to have these events, because this is our time pressure. So where is it going to come from? At least it's pointing over here. So I'm just going to do a straight up copy and paste. Another Rot Knight has entered. Does it say from the middle? I think it's meant to say from the middle of a table edge, so I'm being a bit cheeky there. Let's put them here. So they're not there yet. They're not in massive danger over here, but we have another horror to deal with. But we got a glory. In general, even though there's 5 glory on the board, you can choose to withdraw when you've collected, when over half of the available glory has been claimed. So we could get 3 glory and run, which would be a perfectly acceptable outcome. We don't need to like ace it. And glory is basically your score, and it helps you on your sort of after the battle process, which we'll look at in a minute. I was hoping we'd be able to finish this dead quick, but again, TTS just slows things down. And I'm now gonna shift my gear, if you like. Did we activate this guy? Yeah, I think we did. We're gonna shift gears, and I'm gonna go into the mode where I no longer explain anything. So it's round 4, and we're just going to jump straight back into it. Right, who do we want to activate first? I feel like we need to kill this thing, and our leader is the one to do it. So roll a... I don't know, do we want to? Do we want to finish this? I'm not too worried about these ones. 3+, please, to recover. There we go. Up you get. And we were touching this horror. Now, kill it. So we've got 1 attack at 3+. Hits. 2 damage. This is saving on a 3+. Fails on both. 2d6 on the shock. 6. Bloodbath. Oof. Great. Any allies, so we like take a big chunk out of this guy and he gets taken down. And any allies that see this and have a lower quality score, so this one, they have to roll or become exhausted because they're demoralized by this. So this would be lovely. So he needs to roll a 5+. He doesn't, so he's exhausted. This is going well. Right, Glutton Herd, finish them off. You need a 2+ to hit. Great. Saving on a 3+. He's wounded, he's gone, he's out. Killed him. So that was recover, attack, attack. Glutton Herd is done. So we're in a good position to take this one now. So this horror is exhausted. This horror is dead. There are only 2 horrors left. Oh, well, there's the new one. And then there's this one over here. I feel like I'm missing one. So we've got the one that was in the campsite. This one is down. Let's activate this one. Let's see what the new guy's up to that's joining the battlefield. So they have to roll even on their first move because they are lumbering. 3+. Where are you going, mate? Yeah, you're not going that way, are you? Let's try again. 3+. Where are you going? There you go. So you're going to come out the other side of this area terrain here. And now we can see the Herald. 3+ to make the move. 1 move. I think that's fair. It's the last action anyway, so they're not going to get to do anything. So just when we get rid of one of these things, another one emerges from the woods. Romain says the randomness of this is really nice. Yeah, it's again I'm stealing words from Joe McCulloch who made Frostgrave, but I'm probably repeating myself, but I think randomness can create unexpected moments of drama, so it's great for this kind of narrative game. When you don't want randomness is when you're playing this very finely tuned strategic game. Like, you don't want randomness in chess, really. But I think for this kind of game, I did want to embrace it. It's about creating memorable moments rather than being like a pure exercise of who is the greater strategic mind. Okay, so our Herald is in combat here. Wheatfield is in a good position to move ahead. You know what, we're just going to get Hyro. Hyro's going to get that one. I I feel like we just want to run away from this thing. So, using Wheatfield, we're going to use one move to get over here. We're going to use another move to get to the other side of the forest. No. Let's try again. No. Ugh. So Wheatfield is there. But we're getting there. Slow and steady. Do we have any other horrors to activate? Just this one? Can he see Wheatfield yet? No, there's a forest in the way. So he's going to move randomly. Ah. So that's like this kind of direction, I guess. I'm going to say that they like get to this little clearing here. Which means they still, again, I'm still saying this is like protecting line of fire. So still can't see Wheatfield yet. That was their first move. Will they make a second move? No. Will they make a third move? No. Okay, that's not bad actually. We're setting ourselves up here. There's no more horrors to activate. Let's use Jeff to kill this thing. Right, Jeff, you just need a 3+ to hit it. Okay, and now this thing, 5+ with a reroll. Okay, he resists it. Let's try Jeff's second attack, 3+ to hit. Now he's saving on 5+ with a reroll. No, he's dead. Just about. Right, good work, Jeff. You redeemed yourself. So hang on, that was 2 attacks. And now he can use his third action to move here. Now, Hyro. We can see our leader here. I did say he could move through friendly units. So, you know what? Hyro's going to make a dash for that. And he is going to stay there. I think that is everyone. So where are you? Oh no, we've still got McCall. Does McCall want to fight this thing? Or run away? I think McCall definitely wants to run away from this thing. If we can lure it towards Wheatfield, because he's got the best chance of killing it. So we're going to try and move to there. So he needs to roll 5+. He can see his leader, so he only needs to roll 4+ to be able to move. So again, we're rolling for this move, even though it's the first move, because he's engaged in combat. He makes it, so he's going to get to there. And then he's going to try and move to, like, over here, to, like, past... You know what? I kind of want to, like, kite it, to use a really lame term. I don't want it going over here. I'm going to stay there. I will explain why in a moment. That everyone? That's everyone. So, we'll take back our tokens. And we'll do the event before we claim any glory. All horrors get a free attack. Well, tough luck, because none of you are in combat. So that guy's there, that guy's there. No free attacks. Beautiful. So, glory, we can claim this one. And we can claim this one. So the thing with solo games is you kind of reach a point where, like, you kind of reach a tipping point where it feels like now we've got this under control. So I feel like we should carry on and just see if we can secure these two. So let's do it. Wheatfield. First move to there. Second move. Do I go for the objective or that? No, if we can kill this, then it's basically, you know, it's a done deal. So we're going to try and charge that. So we need to 4+. He makes it. And then for his last action, he's attacking. He's got a 3x1 weapon. So he's rolling 3 attacks. Starting to slow down now, this time of night. Right, 3 attacks at 4+. What? Wheatfield, come on. This is your thing. So no, he misses. He probably should have used his, like, feint tactic again, but don't know. Okay, now let's not activate this one yet. Let's just accept that this guy is going to be attacking Wheatfield. So we'll activate this remnant here. So 2 attacks, 5 up to hit. No. Second action, they'll attack again. 5 ups to hit. There you go. Third action, can't do anything. Right, now what's our plan here? Because we can get these 2. We could use that's a long straight line up here. I'm gonna say that's bullshit right there. So Hyro is going to move to there, and then they're going to try and make a dash for this one. So we need a 5+ to move. No, come on. That's it. So Hyro is now on this one. Hero of the day. And now we have no choice but to activate this guy. Now this is why I left McCall there, because I didn't want him to come over to these guys, because I wanted to keep these free for going up here. But they're not really needed now. But I just wanted to keep that option open. So the Rot Knight is going to move. He needs to roll because he's lumbering. So 3+. No. Try again. 3+. No. And with his third action, his joints are all creaky after that climb. So he is going to move in, but that cost him his entire turn. So McCall really is kiting this thing, you know, World of Warcraft style. So that's all the horrors. So now we can activate the rest in any order we want. Now, there's no benefit to going over and fighting this thing really. So let's just secure these. So let's use Jeff first. Jeff up to there. Second move. Yeah, like a 40-inch move shouldn't really be possible. So I would have put like some little barricades here, or like overgrowth, just to like break up the movement a bit. But you know, may do with what I could find today. Let's try Jeff's special move of killing his own team members. So let's try and move to here first. So 4+, well, 3+, because we can see our leader. So he will make that. So he's going to go like here. And he's going to use his Guardian tactic. So he's attacking this remnant here at 2+. But if he rolls a 1, he's going to hit his teammate. So he hits the remnant. The remnant is taking 3 damage from the Thundergun. And rolling 5 up to save. No. Let's see what the shock result is. It's a double, so it would be a kill, but they've got this adamant ability. So what's 8? Fight back. Well, it's attack your attacker, so they can't actually. So we're fine. They're just going to go down. And then Jeff is exhausted. And then finally, Glutton Herd. Move to here. So 1. And then we need a 3 to make our next move. No. Yeah. So we get to like here. So we're kind of like reaching the conclusion, it feels like now. Oh, we still have McCall. Forget it. He's going to attack. McCall's going to take this Rot Knight out. So 5+ to hit. No. Try again. No. Now try and move away. So they need a 5+. No. So 3 failures is not a great turn. So let's get rid of our exhaustion. And then we'll do probably the last event. Well, no, one more event probably after this. So that's all of the exhaustion. Let's roll. 6. Each warband gets a free move. So 1 free move. See, if there was a way for us to get on that as well, we'd be laughing. So you know what? Jeff is going to make a free move to like here. So it is all set up for next turn. We will claim this one here. And then, because I can see that we're getting quite late on the stream, I'm going to say that let's assume that we were able to claim this glory. The only thing that I will roll, because I'm interested, is whether our herald over here, our unarmed herald, was able to survive a round of the Rot Knight attacking them. So 3+ to hit, 1 hit for 2 damage, 5+ to save. No. The shock result, 9. Crawl. So can they crawl away? They need to make a 5+. No. So they're down. The second attack from the Rot Knight. Oof. So they were able to survive. No one else is really in any danger. So we're gonna take our heroes, is probably too strong a word, and bring them all over here. You are not a member of the gang. So we have 5 plus, no, the Rot Knight is not part of the gang. Fanta died. And Falx died as well. So we had 2 casualties, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 survivors. And we got 5 glory, which is the most that you can possibly get, really. 5 has kind of become the standard now. So I'm going to do a really quick run through the sort of end of the scenario sequence, and then next time we do this game on a stream, solo mode, we'll see if we can carry on, and because there is another scenario after this. So what you do is, for everyone that died, you're going to roll on the casualty table. It's now 2d6, and you can spend glory to raise the result. So we've got 5 glory, which is good, but we're also going to get a reward at the end of the thing as well. So we don't want to use the glory unless we need to. And that glory is not lost. This is like our ongoing score. But it just means that because we were successful, we're probably not going to lose any of these. So let's see. Falx scored a 9. Grudge. Choose a suitable enemy. Take 1 glory if you wound them in the next battle. So they will start the next battle with something to prove, and they will claim a glory if they kill the enemy. This works best in like when there's another warband, but we will find a way to assign that glory that in the next battle, that grudge. Fanta, 8. Retaliation. Make a free action at the start of your next turn in the next battle. Okay, cool. So they'll get like an extra action in the first turn. That's just a one-off thing, so he's got something to prove. So they actually came out with like benefits, which is a weird side effect of taking casualties sometimes. And then for the whole warband, we're going to roll and get a 7. So we are inheritors. So where is our reward table? It does not want to let me. There we go. 7. In the next battle, all units. In the next battle only, all units have frenzy. But we can spend glory to increase this. And we have 5, so we could pick anything between 7 and 12, basically. And I think, you know, I think gaining. I think we should advance to. We'll spend 4 of it to get to 11, and we'll choose get any skill. And I think Jeff needs to be precise. just to make it a bit less risky for him to be using his Guardian ability. So because he's precise, that means he would re-roll misses. So when he's using that, he's going to be hitting on 2+ with a re-roll. But it's mainly so that he doesn't take out his own units again. And that's the sequence. It's nice and quick at the moment. And that's it. There is another scenario that follows on this, but we haven't got time to go on to it tonight. So I think we are basically done. That was a long one, I'm aware. On Friday, I will be doing the proper GRIMLITE stream again around 3 PM. I'll be playing another competitive game against Joe Banner, the rematch. But we are going to be creating new warbands because the rules have changed so much that our previous warbands aren't really relevant anymore. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, you can find out more about what's going on with GRIMLITE and my other games at bastionland.com. And yeah, let me know if you have managed to try GRIMLITE out or it's inspired you to sort of kit bash some miniatures together. Do let me know on Twitter at bastionland. And yeah, until next time, stay safe.